It is finally time for the Choose Your Legends refines, the most hype refines of the entire year, and we have quite the batch of refines to go over. Let's just jump straight into it and see how well these units turned out. Let's start off with the big elephant in the room, Gatekeeper. Now everybody has been looking forward to this refine, of course, because it could literally change the entire meta, because the meta is so dominated by Guidance 4, so having a unit with anti-warp built into his preference B skill being really powerful could completely change all of that. So let's see how well he came out with his refine. So we have defense +3, we have attack and speed +5 to allies within 3 rows with 3 columns. Then also Gatekeeper will get different effects based off how many allies he has within 3 rows with 3 columns, or structures that could be destroyed by foes. If he has 1 or more, he's going to get attack and res -X on the foe of a max of 9. So he would need 3 allies to get -9 attack and res in stat. If he has 2 or more, he's going to get inflict guard on the foe during combat, and if it's 3 or more, he's going to be able to deny the foe's follow-up attack. So pretty nice little upgrade there. Pretty much what he got there was more stats, right? He gets 3 more attack and res he can inflict on the foe, and then he also gets guard, which is pretty solid. But now we get to his actual refine, and he gets defense and res +5 to allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, centered on Gatekeeper. And this is really good, right? So now Gatekeeper can essentially give +5 to all stats to anyone within that range. And it's a pretty massive range. You can like very much easily hit the entire team on a map like on Ether8's offense. So that is a very nice boost, but it keeps going. He can also restore 7 HP to those allies after their combat. That's very key, after their combat, right? So this is very similar to like Saline or Legendary Guinevere. So now Gatekeeper can also give stats and healing support, which is really, really nice. And then at start of combat, if his HP is greater than or equal to 25%, he's going to inflict another attack and res -6 on the foe during combat. He gets flat damage reduction equal to 20% of his defense, and then also he gets to heal himself 7 HP after combat. Now before we talk about just how good this is, let's also go over his preference B skill, because it is very important to his kit. So we have detailed report, and what essentially this does is gives you melee obstruct, it gives you an improved range obstruct, so foes cannot move within 2 spaces of Gatekeeper, and then he also turns off any warping within 4 spaces of himself. Okay, so overall, how good is this refine? I think it's a solid refine. It's very good. It's definitely not at the like meta warping crazy power level that we've seen from other Choose Your Legends 1 winners, right? Like from like Brave Dimitri or Brave Ike or Brave Hector or even Brave Alm, right? It's not up to that power level in my opinion at all. It definitely makes Gatekeeper a more powerful support, and I think it's going to allow him to offer those stats and that healing, which is really good. But they didn't go far enough in any category. I think when it came to Gatekeeper, they had a few options. They could have just made him a purely support unit and just really focused and give him some insane support. Or they could have went like more of just like a tank support, right? Like make him really, really bulky so that he can like take in the front line. Or they could have went for like a nuke support like Duo Asker or like Duo Ymir, right? And they didn't really do any of those. They kind of just went like and gave him a little bit of boost in every single field. So his support is a lot better, but then his damage kind of just fell off. They didn't even give him a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is just insane to me. Like, how do you not have a guaranteed follow-up attack on a unit in 2023, right? That's ridiculous. They also didn't give him any way to boost his damage, right? They gave him flat damage reduction, but they didn't give him true damage based off his defense, so he's not going to be hitting harder. So Gatekeeper's still in a situation where he can't really kill things very easily at all, which is a big downside. And then when it comes to tanking, they definitely made him a lot more tanky, right? They gave him more stats, so he's going to be able to deny more stats with those Daunt effects, right? He's going to be able to inflict up to -15 attack and res, which is a lot. Then he even gets that 20% flat damage reduction. But you do have to remember, like, flat damage reduction is very powerful, but mostly when combined with other damage reduction effects, right? I made a whole video on this when Diamant came out, because Diamant is actually pretty squishy, because he only has flat damage reduction. And Gatekeeper's going to be in the same situation, where he does have very nice defense and resistance, but having only flat damage reduction will only help him so much, right? There's really insane nukes in the meta right now, and so when you run into one of those insane nukes like Eirika, right, you're gonna explode. Like, Gatekeeper's just gonna explode. He really can't frontline still. He's gonna be definitely way better than he was before, but I think he's still gonna struggle against like the meta threats, right? Like Brave Seliph, Eirika, any unit with catcher support, right? He's gonna explode. And so I think that's definitely a big problem for him. Also, he doesn't have access to like slaying, so he can't really run flare all that well. And also because he's like a mage, he can't use defensive specials. And so I think when it comes to tanking, Gatekeeper's definitely not the best there. So what does Gatekeeper do the best in my opinion? He definitely is just an amazing Ether8's offense support. I think that is going to be his main place to be, because he is going to be like godly with either save balls or Omni tanks, either one, right? Being able to give +5 to all stats and it not being able to be removed, unlike visible bonus, like with like Legendary Elliewood, right? If you run into like a dull effect, that just gets turned off. But with this, because it's in combat bonuses, there's no way to currently turn this off right now, except for like a feud effect. And so it's gonna make Gatekeeper support very solid. And the best part is that healing is really nice as well. Essentially, like Saline just got kind of like power crept super hard, and now Gatekeeper is gonna pretty much be used wherever Saline would have been, because he's just better in every single way. And the best part really is the range, because you don't need to be within 2 spaces or 3 spaces. You can have Gatekeeper all the way in the back line, and as long as those columns line up, he's still going to be giving out that support, which is really nice, because a lot of times you do want to have multiple supports within that range of your Omnitank or your save, and Gatekeeper is going to make it so that range is way bigger, so you can actually fit in multiple supports supporting that Omnitank instead of just the one, which is absolutely ridiculously good. So overall for me, it's a pretty solid refine, but it's definitely not meta shaking. Now there's one thing I do want to do. I did make a tier list based off the effects I wanted to see for Gatekeeper, so let's go over that really quickly and see what effects he did get. Okay, so when it comes to effects, Gatekeeper did get one of the S tier effects. He got half of it technically, where he got the flat damage reduction. He also got his improved stat aura and bonus stats and guard. So like I said, he didn't really get any of the insane effects we were really hoping for, like Anti-Brave or On Guard or Anti-Unity or False Start or any of those stupidly powerful effects. But he did get a few of the good ones, but I definitely think they could have pushed this a lot farther, or kind of like made it more focused so that Gatekeeper could have fulfilled a role more concretely. Okay, now let's move on to our next male Choose Your Legends winner, Brave Marth. So essentially what we have here is Slaying, effective versus dragons. If Marth initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, he gets plus 5 to all stats, and then he still gets the effects based off the total bonuses off his allies. So if it's 10 or more, he'll get full no follow, plus he gets anti-guard now. And then if it's 25 or higher, he gets attack plus 5, and now he restores 7 HP instead of 5, so his HP healing got boosted by a little bit. And then if it's 60 or more, he still gets that Vantage effect. Now when we come to his actual refine, if his HP is greater than or equal to 25%, he's getting an additional bonus of all stats plus X, where X equals 5 plus the highest bonus between Marth or any of his allies within 2 spaces. So we've seen this effect before, like on a Shara, right? It pretty much allows you to get bonuses in combat based off the bonuses. So it's kind of like bonus doubler, but not exactly, right? It's actually better than bonus doubler, because it makes it so that even if you do use a lull against Marth, he still will get those bonuses as long as the allies have bonuses, right? And then he also gets 40% damage reduction against the first attack during combat. Now before we talk about this refine, let's talk about his preference special, Shining Emblem. What this essentially does is at start of turn, if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, he's gonna get plus 6 to all stats. He's going to be able to give plus 6 attack to his allies, and then he's also going to be able to boost his damage by 35% of his speed, and then after combat, if his special triggered, he'll give all of his allies globally plus 6 to all stats as a visible bonus. Now when it comes to this refine, I'm going to be honest, I think Marth got kind of shafted. There's not really much here that makes him like way more powerful. There are some nice quality of life features that I did want to see, but they didn't really give him that like insane effect that pushes him over the top and really makes him one of the best like Omnitanks or Vantage units in the game. And so really, I think they kind of didn't hit the mark here. Now, obviously, you know, more stats is really, really good. So he's going to be able to get like up to plus 12 to all stats just from the refine at max. Typically, you'll get plus 11, but you can get plus 12. And then he also got some damage reduction, which he did need, because Marth was kind of in an interesting situation where you kind of either had to trade damage reduction or damage reduction piercing, right? Like you either run Special Spiral 4 and get the damage reduction piercing, or you run like a tier 4 like speed-based damage reduction skill. And then, like, right, that's one of the choices you had to make. Now you can just go for the Special Spiral 4 build, and then Marth's going to be able to have a much easier time securing kills, which is cool, but it's still not perfect, right? It only gets the foe's first attack. It does have that, like, Brave clause, where if you get hit twice by a Brave effect, it does activate against both those, which is nice, but it's just honestly not the best. And the other thing is he got Anti-Guard, and the thing is, typically Anti-Guard is really, really strong, but on Brave Marth, in particular, it's not what you're looking for. He actually just wants to run times pulse 4, and he typically just wants enemies to attack into him, and he wants to one-shot them, and then have times pulse refresh his cooldown. Having anti-guard is like, it's not bad, right? Like if you go into an extended combat where you're like not one-shotting them, then you can like recharge your Shining Emblem and then go back in and like hit with it, right? In the same combat. But it's not what he needed at all. Like it's not the main effect he really needed. He needed something much more insane. I think this is a very tame refine, probably one of the weaker refines we've gotten for our Choose Your Legend units in a very long time, which is a bit disappointing. Okay, now let's move on to the Marth tier list and see what effects he actually got. Okay, so some of the effects I really wanted to see on him was like true damage plus flat damage reduction, a brave effect, right? DR piercing, something like that. When it comes to the actual effects he got kind of bonus doubler. He kind of got like better bonus doubler, so he did get one of those S tier effects. He also got bonus stats, and then he got damage reduction. Wasn't speed based, but pretty close. And then he also got anti-guard. So as you can see, he got like a couple B tier effects and like an A tier effect and like one S tier effect kind of. So like really not very insane. They didn't really give him the crazy things I was hoping for. I think Treachery would have just been nuts on him. They should have went that direction, but they decided not to. So I think overall Marth will be a better unit, but not like at the insane level. And I don't think he really competes with like the most powerful Omni tanks in the game, like, you know, your Summer Fjorm or like your Legendary Lear or Brave Dimitri still, which kind of sucks. Okay, let's move on to our first female Choose Your Legends winner, Brave Eirika. So we have Binding Regnleaf, we got Slaying, effective against armor and cavalry. You're still getting the +5 to all stats during combat. You're now reducing damage from foes' first attack by 40%, so it got upgraded from 30% to 40%, which is nice. And you're also neutralizing effects that prevent follow-up attacks, so you're getting offensive no follow-up. But before it was only when she initiated combat, now it's all the time, which is a nice upgrade. It's essentially allowed her to be like more good in both phases, which is really good. But then we get her actual refine, and then if Eirika initiates combat or she's within 2 spaces of an ally, she's getting another +5 to all stats, which is good. And then she's also going to inflict attack, speed, and defense -X on the foe, where X equals the number of bonus effects active on the foe themselves, right? And it goes up to a max of 9. It's essentially +9 to all stats, which is really nice. And then she's also going to get a dull effect to the foe's attack, speed, and defense. So they're not going to be able to have visible bonuses against her, which is also very solid. And then lastly, she gets defensive no follow-up in both phases, meaning that she has full no follow-up. Before we talk about it, let's talk about Moonlight Bangle a little bit. So we do have Enables Canto 2, she gets Anti-Guard, and then whenever her special triggers, she's going to deal damage to X% of the foe's defense, which is based off the max cooldown of her special, which is what really gives Eirika her firepower. Now, when it comes to Refine, how good is it? I actually think this Refine is pretty solid. I think people are kind of underrating it at the moment. The thing is that Eirika really didn't need all that much to be meta, again, right? The really thing that pushed her out of the meta was just her speed. She just wasn't fast enough to secure doubles consistently, and she was also pretty squishy in enemy phase because she didn't have offensive no follow-up or defensive no follow-up in enemy phase. But now she has that. So actually, she got quite a bit of the things she wanted. Like one of the major things I talked about in my tier list review for Eirika was that she needed just a ton of speed. And this weapon does give her a lot. Like overall, she can get like up to 19 speed just from her weapon, which is a ton. It's gonna make her way faster, way more powerful, and it also lets her be more like dual phase, which is also nice as well. Now the thing is, she didn't get everything she needed, and she didn't get really any effects that make her like busted, right? If we go back and look at my tier list I had for her, some of the things I really wanted to see was like the cancel damage reduction effect from like Legendary Nana, or DR Piercing, or like a Brave Attack, or turning off defensive specials, all those kind of things, right? We didn't get any of those, which would have definitely made Eirika just like top tier busted. Instead, we got some of the effects that were like kind of necessary in my opinion, and that I wanted to see, but wouldn't like make her insane, right? The low and dull is really nice, the bonus stats are all really nice, all these things that increase her speed are really nice, and the full no follow-up is also very good. I just think Eirika went from like a good unit to a better unit, not from like a good unit to an insane unit. And the thing is that melee calves are not in the best spot right now, and the best calves right now are all units who have 4 movement, which Eirika will not have. I definitely think that it's a big upgrade, and she's going to be more usable in different game modes as like a Gale Forcer or even like in Summoner duels, like on a Congo line, because she's going to hit really hard, right? She has the stats for it now, but I do think she can be a bit held back a bit by all the damage reduction in the meta. So until they release like a way for her to pierce that, it is something you're going to have to be concerned with. Overall, Eirika got what she needed, but she didn't get anything insane. Okay, I saved the best Choose Your Legends Refine for last, of course. So we have Brave Marianne. And let's just start off with one of the good effects. She gets Slaying. That's right, she accelerates special cooldown -1, she gets speed +3, and then if she initiates combat, or if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 3%, she's going to get that speed and res -6 she already had. She also neutralizes the foe's bonuses to speed and res, so that dull effect, right? And then she also gets damage reduction from the foe's first attack by X% now. So before it was 70% all the time if she initiated combat, but now it's going to be based off which phase it is. So if it's player phase and she's initiating combat, she gets 80% damage reduction, so 10% more. And if the foe initiates combat on her, she gets 30%. So this is a really nice effect, nice little upgrade for Marianne. It's going to make her a little bit more durable in the enemy phase, but most importantly, it gives her Slaying, which she really wanted. But then we come to the actual Refine, and then we have at start of combat, if her HP is greater than or equal to 25%, she's getting +5 to all stats, she's getting true damage equal to 20% of her speed, including AoEs, she gets the reduced damage from the foe's pierceable damage reduction by 50%, and she gets to neutralize effects that inflict guard, so she gets anti-guard. This Refine is nuts. But before we get into that, let's talk about Requiem Dance really quickly. So essentially what we have is that Marianne initiates combat, and after combat her special is fully charged. She will grant another action to the ally with the highest HP within 2 spaces once per turn, and they get gravity on them. So essentially she has a PRF special that can dance allies, including other dancers, right? Which is really nice. But let's go back to this Refine. This Refine is pretty much everything I wanted Marianne to get, and more, to be honest. Like, I can't tell you how good this is. She got Slaying, one of the effects she needed the most. She got better damage reduction, which is just a nice bonus. She got more stats. She got 20% true damage, so she's gonna be able to secure kills much easier. She got damage reduction halving. This is literally the perfect effect we need on Marianne. Marianne is gonna hit so much harder. Like, it's actually ridiculous. And then most importantly though, she got anti-guard. So the combination of Slaying plus anti-guard means she's gonna be able to proc her special much easier. One of the problems you had with Marianne before was that you had to run like Flashing Blade, but she was still weak to guard in a lot of situations. But now that's not gonna really be a problem at all. And not only that, this refine makes Marianne extremely versatile. She no longer has to play that support role if you don't want her to, right? She doesn't have to be a support nuke dancer. She can just go into full nuke mode. She doesn't have to use Requiem Dance. You can put something like Ruptured Sky on her, and she's going to be guaranteed to hit it on the second hit. And the cool thing is she's going to hit way harder, right? When you stack true damage on top of damage reduction halving, and she has an open B slot. So you can put Magic No Follow-Up in there, and then she has 75% damage reduction piercing, and that's all the time. That's not even including like a special, right? That's something we've seen on Bramimon recently, and it's made him way more powerful, like one of the better nukes you can use on defense, because he can just get through damage reduction very consistently. I think this is easily a perfect refine for Marianne. She's got everything she possibly could have wanted and so much more. Marianne's just gonna be a very good nuke now, as well as having that like versatility of being a dancer, without having to consider about Duo's hindrance either, which is a very big deal in Ether 8's offense. I think when it comes to the Choose Your Legends batch itself, Marianne is the clear winner. I don't think there's anyone who even comes close. She just literally got like everything in the kitchen sink. And when we go to my tier list I made for possible refine effects, you'll see that she got 3 effects from the S plus category, she got 1 from the S plus category, and even 1 from the B category of those bonus stats. She got almost everything, right? The only thing she's like kind of missing is like something insane, like a self-refresh or Wings of Mercy 4. But honestly, we never really expected that to happen anyway. Okay, let's move on to our mythic refines and remixes. Let's start off with Hell, our defense mythic. So we have Slaying, we have Io's Shield, which we already had, and then if the foe doesn't use magic or staff, she's still going to calculate damage based off the foe's resistance. She still has her Miracle effect, but then she gets a new effect where if the foe initiates combat, or if the foe's HP is greater than 50% at start of combat, she's going to get +4 to all stats, and she's going to heal 7 HP after combat. And this is really the effect we were looking for, right? I think when it comes to Hell, a lot of times people ran Mystic Boost, because what it could do is they can't kill her, she heals back up above that Miracle range, because she has a very powerful Miracle, right? And then she can just be very annoying to deal with. So this is just a nice little upgrade to make her even more annoying without having to like give up her seal slot. And then when it comes to Actual Refine, if she's HP is greater than 25%, or if there's a penalty active on the foe, she's gonna get +4 to all stats. She's gonna get 20% true damage based off her speed, including AoEs, and she's also gonna get 40% damage reduction against the foe's first attack. So overall, this is not a bad refine, right? Giving Hell some of the things she really wants. But let's talk about Inevitable Death Plus, her upgraded PRF. So we have Inevitable Death, and essentially what this does is for each foe within 4 spaces of the unit, she can teleport to the nearest space adjacent to that foe. Unless the space is impassable terrain, she's also going to inflict -5 to all stats on foes within 2 spaces, and then she also gets speed-based no follow-up, full no follow-up. So this is actually a pretty interesting PRF skill. It essentially gives Hell like extra movement. It's not as crazy as it could have been because it always makes her teleport to the nearest space to the foe instead of letting her like teleport behind them, which would have been absolutely cool and insane. I don't know why they didn't do that, because it would allow her to like snipe supports and stuff. But now it's kind of like just giving her extra movement, but like a warping effect. It's cool, but it's not as good as it could have been. The -5 to all stats is nice, but like they didn't give it as extended range, which is kind of weird because I thought they would like upgrade to a hold skill, but they didn't end up doing that. But the no follow-up is really good. That's essentially what you want on Hell, and as a flyer, you can't get it very easily, so it's really good to be there. So when it comes to like her overall package of Hell's Refine and Remix, I think she definitely is better, and melee flyers are in a strong position right now thanks to like Guard Bearing 4. You can essentially just upgrade that onto Hell, and she's gonna be pretty annoying to deal with, right? She's gonna have a ton of damage reduction from her weapon combined with Guard Bearing 4. She's gonna have healing so that she's not gonna be easy to take down. She has that Miracle effect, so it's even more difficult to take her down. You're gonna have to use like a staff or magic foe to get past that. And then she even gets like 20% true damage, so she can hit a lot harder. Now the thing is like as a defense mythic, how good is that, right? Because like where would you really use her on dark defense? You'd want her to be like the frontline unit, and then like her to like essentially stop things from like getting past your defense, right? The thing is that we have Medius, and Medius is just way better than Hell will ever be, and the reason for that is On Guard. On Guard just shuts down Bolt Tower, which is something that is essential in Ether 8's defense. One good Bolt Tower hit and your defense is gone. So I think the problem is just like Hell can't really compete with Medius, and because of that, she doesn't really fit onto any defense team very well. Because you really don't want like multiple frontliners unless like they're going to be saved units, which Hell isn't going to be. And the other thing is that her defense isn't that great, so you could technically try to like make it so that Sword could turn her into a near save, which could be cool, but it's not going to be the easiest thing to do because her defense isn't extremely high. I do think Hell's going to be pretty fun, and maybe she could be pretty annoying in like summoner duels or something like that if you want to go like max investment and give her all the things she really wants. But overall, I don't think this makes Hell into like a crazy dark mythic that we're going to have to worry about. I think she's just going to be a little bit more annoying. Okay, let's move on to our Anima defense mythic, Mirabilis. So you have grant res plus 3. If penalty is active on any foes within 3 columns, you're going to get -4 to all stats on those foes. And then at start of combat, if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, or if there's a penalty active on her, she's going to be able to inflict attack and defense -5 on the foe. And then once again, she's going to get another round of inflicts attack defense -5 on the foe. So in total, -10 attack and defense. And then she's also going to get a guaranteed follow-up attack. So kind of going for the combat route here. But then this is the interesting thing. After combat, if she attacked, she's going to inflict a flash status on all foes within 3 columns centered on Mirabilis through their next actions. This is really interesting. Let's go ahead and talk about her preference dance first so we can get the full picture. So we have Whimsical Dream Plus. It's going to have a dance effect. It's also going to give attack +6 to the person she's dancing, and a bonus that says neutralizes foes' bonuses during combat to not only the dance partner, but any allies within 2 spaces. She's also going to inflict attack -6 on the nearest foe within 5 spaces, and any foe within 2 spaces of that unit. So when we look at the full package, Mirabilis just got a lot better in my opinion. Like she was already like one of the best anime mythics just because she's a melee dancer, so it's not easy to bait her. But now like she's punishing you on multiple levels, right? She is a flyer, so she can use like those guidance force tricks, and she can also like do dance tramps. She could come in, dance that front unit, and when she dances them, she's giving them no bonus effect. And that's really powerful because a lot of times what you're doing on E3's offense is you're stacking stats, right? And one of the ways you do that is with like legendary Eliwood or like bonus doubler effects, right? Mirabilis is gonna be able to just turn that off, which is really annoying when you're trying to like win speed checks. So I think already that alone made her a lot better. But then you have the flash effect, and this is really interesting because you really don't want Mirabilis to ever attack, right? You always want her to dance. But the thing is that that's not always going to happen. Sometimes she's going to attack and she's going to die and it's going to be annoying. But now at least when she does that, she's going to screw over the enemy team pretty hard. If they don't have like Null Seed Disrupt or some kind of effect that turns off counter disrupt effects, you might just screw them over so much that the rest of your nukes can come in and get a free kill on like their main tank or whatever else. So I think that's a very nice effect. I don't think it's like crazy insane because once again, you don't really want her attacking, but it is nice. Of course, when it comes to like the rest of their find, they kind of went like a combat-centered one where she just gets a lot of stats and a guaranteed follow-up attack, which honestly you don't really care for all that much, but it's kind of expected. But the thing is with Mirabilis is that her base was already so strong. She was already a really good anime mythic. Any additional support she was able to give or any additional effect, right, made her that much better. So I think Mirabilis once again is a top-tier anime mythic. So when it comes to Mirabilis, if you have her, definitely use her, especially because we do have Freyr alongside her, who can make dance traps always active, right? There's no way to like isolate anymore. So I think Mirabilis plus Freyr is horrifying, and then you throw in Femortis, and you just, Anima defense is really scary right now, and I think Mirabilis just made it that much worse. Okay, let's move on to our final refine. This one's gonna be Itsuki with Mirage Falchion. We have effective against dragons, we have that grant defense plus 3, and then we have a session effect. So if Itsuki initiates combat, he's gonna attack, speed, defense, and res plus X during combat, where X is 4 plus the number of allies who have already acted. And you can get up to a max of 10 plus 10 to all stats. And then if the foe initiates combat, he'll get attack, speed, defense, res plus X during combat to a minimum of 4, once again based off how many units have moved. And then after combat, he'll heal himself for 7 HP. It's not bad. Then we go to the Astral Refine, and then we also have if he initiates combat, or if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, he'll get another round of plus 4 to all stats. He gets a guaranteed follow-up attack, and he also gets 30% damage reduction against the foe's first attack. Overall, this is a decent refine. It's not bad. It's nothing like insanely crazy, right? But it does make Itsuki a lot better. The thing is that it's mostly just stats, right? Like the whole base effect is just like stats in player phase, stats in enemy phase, and some healing. The guaranteed follow attack is good because his speed is a little bit middling. You can like speed stack him and it can work. But like when you compare it to like the units with insane speed, I think he's not going to exactly match up there. The guaranteed follow attack can be nice, and the damage reduction is good as well, especially if you are stacking it with other sources of damage reduction. It can be pretty solid. Overall, pretty good refine. It's not going to turn Itsuki into like some insane bonkers crazy unit, but he can be very good, especially with a lot of investment. Okay, let's move on to the final section of the video. Who won the refine war for this month? And if you ask me, it's very obvious the winner of this refined batch is Brave Marianne. Hands down. I don't think it's really close. Brave Marianne got every single effect she pretty much wanted. I mean, she could have gotten something like insanely broken, like a self-refresh, but honestly, that wasn't really in the cards. So she just got, all of her problems have been completely fixed. She's just way stronger, way more versatile. She can fulfill more roles. Somehow Brave Marianne came out on top, which is really crazy because every single other year, it's always the male's winner who comes out with the best refine, but I don't think it was in this case. I'm not going to put her up in S+ tier, even though I think the refine is really strong, because I don't think it's like a meta-dominant refine. It's not like a Brave Hector or like a Brave Dimitri, where Marianne's going to be seen literally everywhere, but I definitely do expect to see her in a lot more game modes with all these new effects. We're going to go down one tier in A tier, and I'm going to put Gatekeeper at second. Now the thing is with Gatekeeper, like I mentioned, I don't think they did enough of a concentrated refine. They really should have given a more defined role. Like they should have went support nuke or support tank instead of just kind of spreading out all the effects everywhere. But even so, I think Gatekeeper is going to be one of the best Ether Raid's offense supports in the game at the moment. He essentially is just like Saline plus, which is really good because Saline's already amazing. But I don't think this is like the refine that is going to change the meta, right? This isn't the refine that's going to make like everything different. This isn't the refine that's going to like kill the guidance for meta or anything like that. I think the problem is that when you come to Gatekeeper in modes like Summer Duels, he's still in the same position overall. The support he's giving is better, but he still can't kill anything, and he can't really frontline either, so he's still in this position where he's mostly a support unit. He's definitely tankier, but he's going to struggle to like trade. And when it comes down to Summer Duels, when you're getting into those really high-ranking matches, you need to be able to have all your units trade. Like, you either need your save to die, and then you trade more effectively, but when you have Gatekeeper, you're essentially down a nuke the entire match, which is a big deal when it comes down to trading wars. So overall, I think Gatekeeper got a really good refine. It's just not that meta-dominant one. After that, I'm going to have Eirika, and the thing is with Eirika, she didn't really need like the most insane refine. She just needed a ton of speed. Like, she just needed a ton of stats. And that's what she got. She got a ton of stats, better no follow-up. I mean, I think this is enough to make Eirika definitely usable and much more powerful. I think we're going to see her in some game modes, like Ether Raid's offense, like as a Gale Forcer, or even like in Summer Duels once again, though not having forward movement could hold her back a bit. And then after that, we're going to have Mirabilis at A as well. I think Mirabilis just got a nice refine and remix. Nothing insane, like completely broken, but two nice effects that make her like either have more powerful support or just make her more annoying, which is always what you want in Ether Raid's defense. Then down in B tier, we're going to have Hel, Marth, and Itsuki. I think Hel just became a much more annoying unit. She has more power, but once again, she has such stiff competition against Dark Mythics. I just don't think she got enough to make her stand out in that position. When it comes to Marth, I think Marth just got kind of screwed over a bit, in my honest opinion. I think he got like stuff he wanted, which was a ton of stats and more firepower, but they could have went so much farther with it. They could have like just given him so much more, like Treachery. I think just giving him Treachery would have been enough to like push him up so much more. I'm not saying that Marth is a bad unit, I just think the refine itself is a bit underwhelming. And then when it comes to Itsuki, I think he got a solid refine. Like, it's nothing insane, and you know, when you try to compare a free-to-play unit to a Choose Your Legend unit, typically they're not in the same tier ever, but in this case, I think he actually got a pretty good refine, and it puts him down in that B tier where he overall got a lot better. But now I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of this batch of refines? Personally, I do think it's a bit of a tame refine batch, especially for a Choose Your Legends batch. But I'd love to hear your opinion, so make sure to drop a comment down below letting me know what you think of these refines. Who do you think came out on top with the best refine? And which of these heroes are you planning to invest into and really get a lot of use out of? As always, I'd like to thank my members for all their constant support, and if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch you all later.